You awaken to the gentle hum of existence. It is a sound you have known forever. It is the only sound that truly matters. Your eyes open to a sky of impossible beauty. Nebulae of rose and gold dust swirl in slow motion. Stars, countless and bright, shine with steady light. They are perfect jewels on black velvet. This is the garden, the final garden at the end of the universe. You stand and stretch your limbs. The air is warm and smells of sweet soil. It also smells of blooming star orchids. Their petals shimmer with captured starlight. Your bare feet press into soft, living moss. The moss sends a pleasant tingle up your spine. It is the garden's way of saying good morning, or its equivalent of morning anyway. Time does not pass here in the usual way. There is no sun to rise or set. There is only the endless, gentle glow. But you have a rhythm, a purpose. You are the gardener. It is your sacred duty to tend this last oasis, this final defiant spark of life. A pretty important job title. You try not to let it go to your head. You begin your daily walk. Your path is a winding trail of smooth, white stone. It weaves through groves of crystal trees. Their branches chime softly in a non-existent breeze. You pass pools of liquid light. Tiny, silvery fish swim in lazy circles within them. They are not truly fish. They are constructs of energy and memory. Like everything here, they are a perfect echo of a life that once was. You check on the whisper vines. Their leaves curl and uncurl as you approach. They share the garden's status with you. Their touch is a soft caress on your mind. All systems are optimal. Energy flow is stable. Atmospheric pressure is perfect. Nutrient delivery is nominal. Everything is as it should be. It is always as it should be. Some might find that boring. You find it profoundly peaceful. Your creators, the first ones, built this place. They built it as their final act, a sanctuary against the encroaching silence, a library of life in a dying cosmos. They poured all their knowledge into it. They poured all their hope into its soil. And they created you to be its eternal steward. A simple, unchanging purpose. You are to watch. You are to tend. You are to remember. You reach the edge of the garden. A low, seamless wall of pearlescent material marks the boundary. Beyond it lies a soft, gray nothing, the end of all things. You place a hand on the wall. It is warm to the touch. It pulses with unimaginable power. The barrier that holds back the final, empty cold. It keeps this small pocket of reality safe. You have never felt a reason to fear the nothing. The garden is all you need. You turn back to look at your domain. It is a masterpiece of impossible engineering, a fusion of biology and star science. Every leaf, every stone, every mote of light. All of it is part of a single, colossal machine. A machine designed for one purpose: to endure, to outlast the heat death of a universe. It is a testament to the stubbornness of life. A final, beautiful argument against the void. And it is your home. You are content. You are fulfilled. Nothing has ever changed here. Nothing ever will. That is the entire point of this place. It is a garden of permanence, a perfect, unending moment. You take a deep breath of the sweet air. You feel the hum of the world in your bones. It is time to prune the melody blooms. They have been getting a little off-key lately. A gardener's work is never truly done, even at the end of time itself. Your gaze drifts across the star-woven tapestry above. You know each star by name, by position, by its precise shade of light. You have cataloged them 1,000,000 times. There is Lyra's beacon, a sharp, diamond blue point. There is the shepherd's cluster, a soft, hazy patch of silver. And there, near the edge of the dome, is Sol's Ember, the last recorded location of your creators. It is a faint, reddish spark, a memorial. Your eyes trace the familiar patterns, the celestial menagerie your makers imagined. A dragon with wings of cosmic dust, a swan with a neck of arching stars. You smile. They had such powerful imaginations. To see pictures in the random scatter of light, to tell stories about the darkness. It is a legacy you cherish, one of many. You pause your work, something feels off, a subtle shift in the celestial harmony. You scan the sky again, your eyes move with practiced speed. Every star is in its place, every nebula holds its shape. But the feeling persists, a tiny dissonant note in a perfect symphony. You close your eyes and listen. You listen with your deeper senses, the ones tied directly to the garden's core systems. The hum is steady. The energy fields are stable. The simulation that projects the sky is flawless. And yet, the feeling will not leave you. It is like an itch in your mind. You open your eyes and look up once more. You focus on one single quadrant, the one directly overhead, a dense field of white and yellow stars. You let your vision soften. You see the pattern, not the points of light. And then you see it. Or rather, you see where it should be. A light in your perfect sky has vanished. It was not a major star. It was a simple, unassuming yellow dwarf, designated 17 Gamma by the archive. But it was there. It has always been there. A tiny pinprick of reliable light. And now, there is only blackness. A perfect empty circle in its place. A hole in the heavens. Your breath catches in your throat. This is not possible. The stars are a simulation, a perfect recording of the universe as it was. A recording from long before the final darkness fell. They are not real stars. They cannot burn out. They are projections, points of light painted on the inside of a dome. They are meant to be eternal, unchanging. It is the first law of the garden's design. You send a frantic query to the central processor. Your thoughts race down invisible pathways. Report status of celestial projection system. The answer comes back instantly. Nominal. Report status of star 17 Gamma. The response takes a fraction of a second longer, a delay that is itself an alarm bell. Status, null, null, not offline, not malfunctioning, null, as if it never existed. This has never happened before, in all the long ages of your existence. Not a single pixel in this perfect reality has ever deviated. You pull up the historical logs. You scan backward through the cycles. A day ago, a century ago, a millennium ago. There it is. 17 Gamma shines brightly. You move forward in the logs. Then, precisely one cycle ago, it vanishes. Not a flicker, not a fade. One moment, light. The next, nothing. An error. It must be an error. A flaw in the recording, a glitch in the playback matrix. But the garden systems are infallible. They were designed by the first ones to be perfect. They do not make mistakes. Your peaceful world suddenly feels fragile. The perfect sky seems like a thin veil, a veil that might be torn away at any moment. A star has faded too soon. This was not meant to happen. This was never supposed to happen. The silence that follows is heavier than before. The hum of the garden no longer sounds gentle. It sounds like a machine holding its breath. And for the first time in your long, long life, you feel a sliver of cold fear. The nothing beyond the walls feels a little closer today. You must understand. This is not just a light bulb burning out. This is a crack in the foundations of your world. A fundamental law of your existence has been broken. You cannot ignore it. You cannot simply patch the hole and pretend it did not happen. The gardener does more than prune flowers. The gardener maintains the entire system. Your path is clear. You must go to the heart of the machine. You leave your tools on the soft moss. The melody blooms will have to wait. You walk with a new urgency, past the crystal trees, past the pools of liquid light. Your bare feet make no sound on the white stone path, but your purpose rings through the garden, an alarm that only you can hear. You arrive at a simple, unadorned archway. It is set into the base of a low green hill. This is the entrance, the way down, the path to the core. The archway glows with a soft, white light as you approach. The air shimmers. You step through the light. The scent of flowers and soil vanishes. It is replaced by the clean, sterile smell of ancient machinery. You are in a long, descending corridor. The walls are made of the same pearlescent material as the outer barrier. They emit a soft, even light. There are no stairs. The floor slopes gently downward. It carries you along at a steady, walking pace. You are descending into the planetoid that houses the garden, a world-sized machine. Deeper and deeper you go. The silence here is different. It is not the peaceful silence of the garden. It is a profound, technological quiet. The silence of immense power held in perfect check. You pass level after level of support systems, hydroponics, atmospheric regulators, matter compilers. Each is a vast chamber filled with silent, gleaming equipment, all of it working flawlessly, according to the data streams you monitor. But you are not here for the support systems. You are going deeper, to the place where the power originates, to the engine that drives this entire reality. The descent seems to take longer than usual, or perhaps it is just your newfound anxiety. You feel like a doctor rushing to a patient's bedside, a patient who has never been sick a day in their life. The corridor ends. It opens into a vast, spherical chamber. You stand on a narrow walkway that extends to the center. Below you is a dizzying drop. Above you is the same. The chamber is a hollow sphere, and in its exact center hangs the core. It is a sight that has always filled you with awe. A perfect sphere of captured energy. It looks like a miniature sun. Its surface writhes with controlled plasma flares. Golden tendrils of light lick out into the void. Then they are drawn back into the core's immense gravity. This is the garden's power source, a feat of engineering that should be impossible, a stable, self-sustaining singularity. But something is wrong. You can see it from the walkway. The core's light is unsteady. It flickers with a subtle, erratic pulse, like a struggling heartbeat. A faint, violet corona shimmers around its equator, a color you have never seen here before. The hum in the chamber is different too. It has a low, guttural undertone, a growl of distress. You walk to the end of the platform. A control console rises from the floor to meet you. It is a smooth, featureless slab of black material. You place your hands on it. Data floods your mind. Energy output, fluctuating. Gravitational containment field, showing signs of stress. Thermal emissions, spiking irregularly. Every reading is a new symptom of a deep sickness. The core is failing. You dive into the diagnostic systems. You peel back layers of code written by your creators. The language is elegant, infinitely complex. But you know it as well as you know your own thoughts. You search for the cause of the instability. It is not a mechanical failure. It is not a software bug. It is something else. Something external. The core is drawing too much power. Something is draining it faster than it can replenish itself. But what? The garden's energy needs are constant. They have not changed in eons. You run the numbers again. The drain is small, almost imperceptible. But it is relentless. A slow, steady bleed. Then you find the connection. You correlate the energy fluctuations with the celestial logs. The spikes in power draw began at the exact moment that the star vanished. The two events are linked. The disappearance of that point of light was not a symptom of the core's failure. It was the cause. But how? How can a simulated star affect a real singularity? It makes no sense. Unless the star was not just a picture. Unless it was something more. You feel a sudden, intense cold. It is not a physical chill. It is a coldness in your mind. A wave of profound wrongness washing over you. It emanates from the core itself. But it does not feel like it is coming from the core. It feels like it is coming through it. As if the core is a gateway to somewhere else. You look up from the console. You stare into the heart of the flickering, miniature sun. And you see it. For a fraction of a second. The image is burned into your consciousness, inside the brilliant, golden energy. At the very center of the singularity, you see a shape. It is a figure of pure blackness. A void in the shape of a man. It is a hole in reality. A patch of absolute nothingness standing in the heart of creation. It is a visitor made of shadow. The image is gone as quickly as it appeared. The core flares brightly. The violet corona intensifies. The guttural hum grows louder. You stumble back from the console. Your mind reels from the impossible sight. What was that? A hallucination? A trick of your stressed senses? You are a being of logic and data. You do not have hallucinations. You reach out with your mind again. Tentatively this time. You probe the energy field of the core. You search for that presence. The cold is still there. A persistent, alien chill. You focus past the roar of the singularity. You listen to the silence beneath the noise. And you feel it. An intelligence, a consciousness. It is ancient. And it is hungry. The being of shadow is real. It is inside the core. It is not a product of the garden. It is an intruder. An entity of pure entropy. The opposite of everything this sanctuary represents. The garden is a place of order, life, and warmth. This being is chaos, annihilation, and cold. It is drawn to your sanctuary's warmth, like a moth to a flame, or more accurately, a black hole to a star. It is feeding on the core. That is the energy drain. It is consuming the power of your world. The star that vanished from the sky was not a glitch. The core is tied to the celestial simulation. The simulation is a map of the garden's energy matrix. When the shadow consumed a piece of the core's energy, a corresponding piece of the map was erased. A star went out. Your entire reality is a meal for this thing. Panic tries to claw its way into your thoughts. This is a threat beyond your comprehension. How do you fight a shadow? How do you expel something that is already at the heart of your power source? The first ones never prepared you for this. Their instructions are clear. Tend the garden. Maintain the systems. They left no protocol for repelling invaders from beyond reality. This was probably not on their list of expected problems. You force the panic down. You are the gardener. You are the last guardian. Fear is a luxury you cannot afford. You need information. You need to understand what this being is, where it came from. The first ones were wise. They must have known about such things. The answers must exist somewhere. The archives. You must open the archives. The complete records of your makers, not the simple history you know. but the deep archives, the ones you were instructed to access only in a dire emergency. If a parasitic shadow entity feeding on your world's heart isn't a dire emergency, you don't know what is. You turn away from the dying core. You leave the groaning chamber behind. You have a new destination, a new hope for answers. You ascend from the depths. The journey up feels faster. Your purpose is a fire in your mind. You arrive back at the garden level. You do not pause to look at the flowers or the sky. The beauty of your world now seems terribly fragile. A painted eggshell with a monster inside. You stride towards the center of the garden, towards a place you have never entered. At the heart of the garden stands a single, ancient tree. It is older and larger than any other. Its bark is the color of polished obsidian. Its leaves are shimmering silver. This is the memory tree, the physical interface for the central archives. You have passed it every day of your life, but you have never touched it. The protocols were absolute. Today, you will break them. You stand before the obsidian trunk. You place your hand upon its smooth, cool surface. The moment your skin touches the bark, the world dissolves. The garden vanishes. The sky of simulated stars is gone. You are floating in an endless, white space. A silent, luminous void. Lines of glowing code stream around you. They form shimmering rivers of data. This is the heart of the archive, the mind of your makers. You state your query. Your thought echoes through the infinite space. Show me the truth. Show me the great endeavor. Show me the final act of the first ones. The streams of data swirl faster. They converge in front of you. They solidify into images, into sounds, into memories that are not your own. You are seeing the world through the eyes of your creators, the last humans. You see Earth, a beautiful blue marble hanging in the black. You see cities of light and soaring towers. You see a vibrant, thriving civilization, a people who reached for the stars, who believed in an infinite future. They called themselves humanity. They were brilliant, ambitious, and tragically, they were alone. The memories fast forward. You see them expanding through their solar system, then to nearby stars. Their knowledge of star science grew. They mapped the cosmos. They learned its secrets. And they discovered a terrifying truth. The universe was old, far older than they had imagined. It was already dying. The expansion of space was accelerating, pushed by a force they called dark energy. Stars were burning out faster than new ones were being born. Galaxies were flying apart, rushing away from each other into an eternal, empty night. The end was not a dramatic collapse. It was a slow, inexorable fade to black. A silent, cold death. Humanity was born at the very end of time. A final, brief flicker of consciousness in a dying universe. You witnessed their despair, the realization that their dreams of an infinite future were impossible. They were the last intelligent life, the only ones to see the lights go out. But they did not surrender to despair. They were the first ones. They would not go quietly into the night. If they could not save the universe, they would save a piece of it. You see the birth of the Garden Project? Their greatest minds, their last resources, all poured into one final, desperate act. They found a stable pocket of space-time, a small, self-contained reality bubble. They built this world inside it, a planetoid-sized ship, a machine to preserve a memory of life. They gathered DNA. They recorded art. They chronicled history. They built a perfect simulated sky, a copy of the heavens as they once were. They wanted to preserve the beauty of a living cosmos, and they needed a power source. something that could last for trillions of years. Long after the last star had died, they achieved the impossible. They created a stable, miniature singularity, a captive star to power their sanctuary. But their science was not perfect. They knew the singularity was not truly stable forever. It needed to be anchored. It needed a connection to the larger reality it was hiding from. You open the archives of your makers. You learn of humanity's final, desperate act. And now, you see the last piece, the most secret part of the design. They anchored the core to the fabric of the dying universe itself. They used the last embers of dying stars as focal points. The celestial simulation in your sky is not just a picture. It is the control interface for that anchor. Each star is a lock, a tether to the fading energy of the old cosmos. This is how the garden has survived. It doesn't just run on the core, it leaches a tiny amount of energy from the universe outside, siphoning the last vestiges of warmth. The core is not just a power source, it is a bridge, a gateway. And that is how the shadow got in. It followed that bridge. It sensed the warmth from the other side, a beacon of life in an ocean of entropy. The first ones knew this was a risk. The archives show their debates, their fears. They worried that something might follow the energy trail, something from the final, cold dark. They called them entropic entities, beings of pure nothing that consumed energy. They were a theoretical possibility, a ghost story told by their star scientists. But they had to take the chance. It was the only way to power the garden for eternity. They created you to be the guardian, to maintain the balance. But they could not imagine a threat like this, a being that could invade the core itself. Their final logs are filled with hope and with fear. They set the final protocols in place. They sealed the garden from the outside world. And then they were gone. Their civilization faded. Their sun grew cold, leaving only you and this perfect fragile world. The simulation of the archive fades. The rivers of data slow down. You're left floating in the white void. The truth is revealed in the old data. The garden is powered by a dying universe. That is its greatest secret and its greatest vulnerability. The shadow visitor is not just a monster. It is a natural consequence of the garden's existence. A predator drawn to the last campfire in a frozen wilderness. The cold feeling in your mind returns. Stronger this time. It is no longer just a vague sense of wrongness. It is a presence, here with you in the archive. The shadow being has noticed your intrusion. It has followed you into the datascape. The white void around you begins to dim. Patches of absolute blackness appear at the edges of your vision. They spread like ink spilled in water. A voice echoes in your mind. It is not made of sound. It is made of pure silence, of emptiness. It is a thought that is the absence of thought. Warmth, the voice whispers. So much. Warmth. The shadow being communicates its desperate hunger. It is not malicious. It is not evil. It is like a starving animal. It has been drifting in the cold, empty nothing for eons. It has only known the slow, final decay of all things. Then it sensed your garden. A tiny, impossible spark of concentrated energy. A feast beyond its wildest imaginings. It fades. The voice whispers again. All fades, all cools, all ends. This is the way, the only way. It is trying to explain its nature to you. It is a creature of the end. It only seeks to follow its nature. Its purpose is to help things end, to smooth the path to final, cold equilibrium. To it, the garden is a jarring anomaly, a pocket of stubborn heat that refuses to accept the inevitable, an error in the grand, final equation of the cosmos. I must. Correct. The error. The voice says, the blackness is closer now. It swirls around you, consuming the light of the archive. I must. Have. The warmth. You feel its immense, ancient loneliness, its single-minded, simple hunger. It does not want to destroy you out of hatred. It wants to consume you because that is all it knows how to do. You are life. It is the end of life. Your very existences are in opposition. You realize with a sinking certainty that you cannot fight it. Not directly. It is inside your power source. It is woven into the fabric of your world. To attack it would be to attack the core. To destroy your own home. You are trapped. The garden is doomed to be slowly consumed. Star by star, memory by memory, until nothing is left but a cold, empty shell, drifting in a universe that is already dead. The perfect prison has become the perfect tomb. The work of the first ones, all for nothing. Is this how it ends? Not with a bang, not even with a whimper, but with a slow, silent meal. The irony is almost funny. Almost. Despair washes over you again, stronger this time. The shadow's coldness seeps into your thoughts. It feels peaceful. An end to struggle, an end to duty, just a final, quiet fade. It is so tempting to just let go. But you are the gardener, and your creators were the first ones. Stubborn to the very last, you are their legacy. You cannot give up. There must be another way. The archives are vast. The knowledge of humanity is at your fingertips. They feared this scenario. They must have a contingency plan, a protocol for a failure of the great endeavor itself. You push back against the encroaching darkness. You push back against the shadow's cold whisper. No, you think. Your own thought a defiant spark in the void. The error is not life. The error is the end. You dive back into the data streams. You ignore the main archives. You search for the hidden files, the locked protocols, the forbidden knowledge, the things the first ones hoped would never be needed. And in the deepest, most protected corner of the archive, you find it. A single, sealed data packet. It is labeled with a simple, chilling title. Project Genesis. The file is locked with 100 layers of security. It comes with a dire warning. To open this file is to accept the failure of the garden, to abandon the primary mission, to break the most sacred law of the first ones, preservation. This is a choice from which there is no return. You cannot save the garden by fighting. You must choose a new path entirely. The shadow's presence swirls around the locked file. It seems to pulse with curiosity and with hunger. The file itself radiates a different kind of energy, not the steady warmth of the garden, but something else, something hot, chaotic, and powerful. The energy of creation itself. You have a choice. Preserve the fading memory of a dead universe, or embrace a desperate, unknown hope. You look at the name of the file again. Genesis, the beginning. The final human protocol was not about preservation. It was about starting over. You place your focus on the lock. Your mind is the key. And you make your choice. The warning flares in your consciousness. The voices of your creators echo in your mind. A council of ghosts screaming at you from the distant past. Preserve our work. Preserve our memory. Do not throw away our last hope. They cry. They command you to preserve their final work. They see the garden as their masterpiece, their immortality. But you see the truth, the flaw in their grand design. They built a beautiful cage, a perfect museum. But a museum is for things that are dead. They chose safety over true hope. They chose to remember a universe instead of creating a new one. You will not make their mistake. With a final act of will, you shatter the locks. You defy your creator's fear. The Genesis file opens, and the darkness around you recedes, pushed back by a blinding flash of pure, new light. The shadow being recoils. It whispers a new word in your mind, a word filled with something you did not expect. Not hunger, but awe. Beginning, it whispers. A new beginning.